Well, my name is Jason J. Rock Houston. We're talking to two members of Glamerica. I'm talking with Rodger Bowers, the founding member and bass player. And Kyle, you want to introduce yourself? Because I understand you're new to the band. You're a guitar player.
Yeah, been with the band since December, but over the years, I've kind of did fill-in gigs, probably for the past about 4 or 5 years with the band.
Oh, okay.
And it's probably about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So you guys are kind of like good friends and family. That always helps out when getting a new member of the band, huh, Rodger?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, he's one of the guys that helped us out from time to time and always kept in my back pocket. I thought if we ever need a guitar player, this is the guy. So
yeah, and Rodger, last time I talked to you and Tabitha, and we did it the old school way, talking over the phone. It was just a fun little audio interview people would listen to. And I have a friend of mine who plays in a Kiss tribute band, Jason Lee Beckwith. He kind of really encouraged that I embrace, the new modern technology. I've been having a lot of fun doing this. So this is going to be a little different what we did last time, but it's been a lot of fun, all the bands I've interviewed so far. So like you said, last time we talked, you guys were getting ready to play the legendary Whiskey in LA. And I was digging it because the day of the event, you guys were like putting all kinds of videos and stuff up, like leading up to the actually, arriving. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that kind of stuff is really fun for fans.
Yeah, we had a really great trip. We were lucky enough to go out and got to spend a couple days in the Hollywood Hills, and then have dinner at the Rainbow and all the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. And of course, we got to play Crew Fest at the legendary Whiskey at Go-Go, which was just incredible. Great sound and great environment with the other bands that were there as well. And we just had a great time. And honestly, that show probably led to kind of what we're doing now. We received a lot of national offers and stuff from that show, and so we kind of got our heads together when we got back and said, what do we want to do now? And our booking agent said, hey, what about Daytona Bike Week? And we're like, well, we'd love to do that. That's a
why
great
not, right? Yeah.
He's like, well, let me book shows all the way down and all the way back, and you guys can just do the whole tour of it. So.
And that's great that one gig kind of led to what you're doing now. I mean, and I'd imagine, talk again, where's Glamerica from, and where's your home base?
We're home in Indianapolis, or around Indiana. Kyle's out on the outskirts, and but most of us are around the Indianapolis area.
I imagine LA, Hollywood is quite a bit different from what it is in Indianapolis. Let me ask you, and even playing a place like the Whiskey, you up on that stage, you had to have kind of been thinking, hey, I'm on the same stage where Eddie Van Halen and Jim Morrison got their start,
It was a little surreal at times, and sitting in the big corner booth where, Guns N' Roses is set and Motley Crue's partied, and, it was just, it was a bucket list thing for us. And, it's something I'll never forget. I ended up getting it inked on me.
Oh, wow. There you go. Yeah. Got a story. There's a song in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And being from Indianapolis, did Hollywood, did it live up to everything you thought it? Before you hit actually made it out there to LA, you kind of like have a dream and think what it was going to be like, and versus what it was actually.
I'd been lucky enough to be out there once before, but it was great to have my band and all of our friends and family with us. And, we had a ton of people make the trip from Indiana out there for it. Had a great, crowd of people we knew on top of the Whiskey crowd. So it was a great time. And Hollywood and LA in general is just
did you meet up with a lot of your fans after the show? Did you find any people that came all the way from Indiana with you to catch the LA show?
We did. I think we had 20 or 25 people from Indiana that weren't in the band.
Now that's loyal. That's loyal fans. Have you ever talk about tattoos? Have you ever encountered any of your fans that have like a Glamerica tattoo?
I haven't ran into that yet. I've got one, but
there you
I've got a lot. But no, we haven't seen that. We do have some amazingly loyal fan. We call them the Glam Fam.
There you go.
Just because we've gotten to know so many great people over the years. This is coming up on our 10th year. We're in our 10th year. And it's just been a blessing,
You guys are doing something right, especially when you consider that you're a cover band. What I mean by that, we kind of talked a little bit about this in the last interview. Right. A lot of people have a misconception when it comes to like either cover bands or tribute bands. I'll say when talking about tribute bands, I like to call that rock and roll theater because it's a little more than just playing the songs. It's getting dressed up. And as far as playing covers like you guys, I can see why a band would do that, because it's a great way if you're a musician to keep your chops up. It's a little easier maybe to get a gig doing other people's music for the simple fact, let's be honest, when somebody comes to Glamerica show, those are songs that a lot of people we've heard on the radio all our lives. Instantly people are singing along, and I'm sure when you're up on stage. Whereas if this was an original band, we might not know any of the songs till they purchase the CD or until they go to the show,
Sure. Absolutely. It's funny you say that, because the go-to I've always had since I started the band was, listen, if the girls down front can't sing every words, we probably shouldn't be playing it. It just worked out well. And we've all done original music. Kyle has his own original music, and we've all done it on the side, to keep your creativity out there. And
has there ever been any talk, Rodger? Because I talked to other bands that do covers in that, and I was talking to this guy just yesterday, and he was telling me, we started out doing covers, and then we eventually decided we're going to start putting in some original tunes to see how that works, or maybe.
I'll let Kyle take this, because
actually Rodger and I kind of about a week ago we started kind of exchanging some ideas back and forth. He sent me some lyrics over, and I was just messing around with some riffs at the house, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this? So we kind of have a good start on a potential first song with me and the band that I think we're going to maybe debut on the tour.
And if it goes over well, you guys could even release maybe a 4 or 5 song EP. And I say that because I've heard over years, Lars Ulrich do interviews where when Metallica was first getting their start, they were playing a lot of Diamond Head cuts, and people come to their shows, they thought that was Metallica songs. They had no idea they were doing covers.
Right. The whole Garage Days thing they did, was genius. They got them out there and got them out on the road, and exploded after that.
And I say that too, Rodger, because again, hearing Lars Ulrich do some of these interviews over years, he talked about how at some point we wanted to start sneaking in original tunes. People had no idea we were even doing original tunes.
Right.
And I think that might work for Glamerica, because you could keep your hardcore fans happy, doing the covers, and then maybe say, we wrote this tune just for you guys. We got a little something extra special to throw in the set tonight.
We did our first one last year. We play a big music festival here in Indiana called Summer Bash. It's an all-inclusive festival. It's 3 days, and we always headline the Friday night show there. And we wrote an anthem for them last year and debuted it live at the event. And so,
and I think a lot of
Kyle and I are working on, and
a lot of it is doing interviews like this. I got to thank you, Rodger. It was you actually who reached out to me to say, hey, we're getting ready to take the band out on the road. We'd love to do another interview if you were interested. I said, yeah, of course. And that's kind of the vibe we like to have. Once we interview you, that's pretty a good recognition that we think, your band's got something special. And we like to think of it as family. Hey, anytime, Rodger, you got something to promote, or any of your bandmates, you guys are always welcome back here.
Right. Well, we appreciate that. And, I always check out all your interviews when they come up. It's just
I got to tell you, Rodger, I was amazed the last interview, again, because thinking, you just never know what people are going to respond to. Because again, in fact, I'm interviewing a cover band, there's some interest in that. I get that. And that's why I'm even interviewing you in the first place. But I cannot tell you how that interview especially for our site, I don't have a number in front of me, but the numbers for that, your particular interview with Tabitha, it was blowing up. I couldn't believe it. And I don't know if YouTube has something to do with that, but the way they kind of manipulate things. But just to give you a funny example, I did a great interview with Carmine Apiece. That interview, for whatever reason, only got 17 hits. But this other unknown band that was just kind of an up and coming band got 5K hits. So I'm I don't know what's going on there, but okay.
That's crazy. A legend like Carmine.
Yeah. And the interview itself was pretty good, so I don't know. But so my point is, even though people say, Glamerica are just a cover band, somebody's responding to what you guys are doing. The fact that you got a show at the Whiskey, the fact that people responded to that show, and you're getting these other gigs now, you're doing, especially when you consider a cover band that's lasted for over 10 years. That kind of tells me, without even having ever, I've seen some of your videos, but I've never actually been to a live show. But your videos are so good that it's somebody sees that, I want to go see that band,
Well, that's what we hope.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've been blessed with so many fans that, not just stuck with us, but bring all their friends to shows. we've got a show tonight that it's sold out. Everything's reserved, and you know,
Is it local? Is it local, or is it like in another state?
it is local here in
Okay.
Indianapolis. So
Okay.
we're all local until we leave in March 2nd.
March. Okay. And I seen some on there. What's the name of the tour?
Glam's Gone Wild.
Oh, there you
we're
go.
going to the beach. We gotta play off that a little bit. So
yeah. And so I was curious, what's it like having like a couple of girls in the band? I mean, even I'm assuming like when you guys go on the road, do they take a little longer getting their makeup on and dressed?
Yeah. We've got 3 now.
Okay. Yeah.
Pam Lee has been our guitar player for about 4 years, and Tabitha's been in the band for 9. And then about a year and a half ago, we brought Casey Naylor on, and we do 2 female leads, doing all the greatest hits of the Sunset.
I think that's what makes a band like this fun too. Having the girls in the band. I mean, it makes it a little different than a typical cover band. People might not go expecting to see 3 girls in the band, and you're probably asking, well, why not? If they got the if they got the talent, why not? And they obviously do. And let's talk a little bit about, since you guys do covers, how do you go about coming up with a set list? Is it a matter of, okay, we've tested these songs and they work, this is what was popular in the 80s?
Yeah. We try to hit the biggest hits. We say we're bringing back the glory days of the Sunset Strip. There's songs that we may love, but they're not the best show songs. The casual fan might not know them.
Yeah.
We try to stick to the biggest hits.
Yeah.
With plugging things in and out, so we're not completely bored playing Every Rose for the 3,000th time or something like that.
And on that note, it's funny because I talked to a couple of people that actually saw that stadium tour, and the common consensus, oddly enough, is that Poison was the best band on the bill, or at least they had the best set. Yeah,
we thought the same thing.
Man, they were killer on the tour.
They had the most energy. They didn't have the big stage setup that Motley and Def Leppard did, but they killed it.
And Indy, Poison just absolutely came out and killed it.
I mean, I have no shame in being a Poison fan myself. I go back all the way to 1986. I saw them on that tour opening up for Rat. They were glammed out as hell, and and what I always love about Poison, that they glammed out to hell and no shame about it. They were proud of who they were.
Right. No doubt about it. I was lucky enough, I got called to do some private security for Brett Michaels when he did a private show here in Indy 2 summers ago.
Oh, wow.
And I got to talk to him a little bit and told him, some of the things I appreciated about them. And, I think the best thing of Poison is they're approachable. They're normal guys, they don't have the big egos, and they just go out and have a good time. It's truly nothing but a good time. So,
yeah, I was doing an interview with somebody yesterday. He said he kind of knew Ronnie James Dio, and he's kind of telling a similar story about him. But he said like how impressed he was with the fact that Ronnie had encountered this guy at a Black Sabbath show, last couple of years, and the guy used to do security or something for Ronnie, and he hadn't seen him in like 20 years, and he's up on stage. He notices a guy from the stage, and he calls him out, and hey, great to see you. How you doing? He went up and talked to him after a show, and the guy was impressed. Wow. Haven't seen me, Ronnie, in 25 years, and you remember me.
That's amazing, and I think everybody should shoot for that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fans, none of us would be playing. So,
and so, what keeps you guys going? Just the fact that when you do a show, people kind of seem to be responding to what you're doing.
Yeah. Maybe Kyle can address this one a little bit too. What kind of motivates you when you're up there?
A lot of it's just kind of the crowd response with the material, how everyone's just getting into it, enjoying the show. And then if you watch the band, you see how the band's jiving with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just a real contagious thing where everyone's just like, hey, the band's having a great time. It just goes out to the crowd. They enjoy it. And it's just, and that whole room just lights up. It's that magic moment that we all want to see at a show.
And Kyle, what's it like being the new guy in the band? I understand that you know these guys and they're your friends and stuff, but it must be kind of a different element actually being up on stage with them. You feel like you need to ask permission before you do something, or are you kind of allowed?
No. Something I mentioned to Rodger. It's kind of one of these things. I know this may sound kind of cliche, maybe kind of dumb what I say here, but it's kind of one of those things over the past 4 or 5 years. It was a thing that was meant to be over time.
Yeah.
Because there was different points in time with me, with my music and stuff, where they were having something with a guitar player and they brought somebody in and we just kind of missed each other, where I may have had the opportunity to come in earlier.
Yeah.
But now it just kind of, it feels right.
Yeah, the band's really clicking now. We've got a great lineup.
It's solid. I mean, great chemistry with everybody. Yeah, it's
and I got to ask you, Rodger, because one thing I always take notice of your band is the logo. I mean, I love the backdrop there. I mean, anybody goes on the Facebook page, that's the first thing you notice.
Yeah.
Who designed that?
I did that one, 10 years ago now. And, we've got some variations of it, but we always go back to the star. It just fits the 80s stuff that we do. And, it looks good on a t-shirt, to be honest.
Yeah. And so when you guys go and, you go out of state and do you drive together? Do you take a van together? You meet up at the gig?
We're taking 2 vehicles this time for a tour. We got 8 of us going. And then some, we have a lot of people meeting us at different spots around the country. But yeah, we'll take 2 with a trailer and,
Because I seen, I was curious, I seen like a picture of a black pickup and it had kind of like an ad for an upcoming tour. Whose does that belong to?
Oh, that's our buddy Eric. He's going to go on as tour manager and kind of help us out on the road and
so great advertising there, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eric's just a friend of the local music scene. He's great. Everybody promotes everybody, and we're happy to have him on the road with us.
And I'm sure in Indiana, you guys are local heroes. But like, what is it like to get to go out to play a gig like at the Los Angeles Whiskey or even some of these other gigs you have coming up? Because it's not your home crowd, and people are kind of still come to see you, from out of town. That's got to be a fun little feeling.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I think a lot of that can be attributed to the songs we play. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, they're the ones everybody knows, everybody's singing, everybody's dancing.
I mean, let's be honest, that's the soundtrack to our lives. At least some of us,
Amen. I graduated high school in '90, so I was in high school in the late '80s.
Right here, buddy, right here. And, that's why we lost our hair, but hey, we're still here. Yeah, there you go. You got the metal god. You got the metal god look.
So I literally had the '78 Camaro with the Cinderella Long Cold Winter blasting out as I drove around town, and I don't think Tabitha and Casey knows that didn't grow up in that time. They quite understand what the music meant at that time.
Yeah, because Rodger, maybe a guy that's same age as I am, maybe you have an appreciation for it a little more. What I mean is, you remember back to when grunge started breaking out, they stopped playing all the so-called 80s hair bands or whatever you want to call it, and that was for a time, but it never totally went away. I mean, the fans that are into that music, they're real diehard, and that's why I think it never totally died off. They tried to kill it, but
Right. And I think early 2000s, it really started making a resurgence. Poison was doing those big package tours and Motley was still touring and, and they were still drawing huge crowds. And, I mean,
even Poison, you look at when they did that album in '94 with Richie Kotzen.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a couple hits with it, but I mean, they were on the downward slide and albums weren't selling. And that lineup only lasted one album. And then they got back with Cece. But, and again, I think there's a reason for that. They came back bigger and badder. By the time they came back, people hadn't seen them about 10 years, and there was a real desire for that to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's big debates out there about whether these bands should be putting out new albums. If you got new songs, put them out. Why wouldn't you? And
a lot of the bands. That's what I tell a lot of the bands I interview. Those are the bands I have respect for because. I mean, there's a lot of bands that could do like kind of what Poison does, and Poison's able to get away with it because look at their catalog of music. They got a great, they can just go out and do the greatest hits. But I still dig bands like Def Leppard that continue to put out new music. I was just talking about this somebody the other day. The latest Def Leppard album, while I'm not putting up there with, say, Pyromania or Hysteria, it's still a #1 album. I mean, it was a #1 album for 1 week, and then by the next week, it'd been forgotten about, but that's just kind of the state of the world today,
Right. I mean, who wouldn't? Me personally, I would love to see a Motley album with John 5 in there, just to see what it sounds like.
I'm kind of hopeful. I know what they said, but I'm thinking, why else would you get a guy like John 5? Because not only is he a great guitar player, and he's the one guy who could kind of see filling Mick Mars' huge shoes, but he's a great writer. He's written with everybody from Rob Zombie, Leonard Skinner, Meatloaf, David Lee Roth. I think the Scorpions, Leonard Skinner.
I hope they take advantage of that. I'd love to see him and Nikki writing together. Nikki's
and I know
some
like
of the biggest songs ever.
Because I posted a picture of you today with a T-shirt said like Nikki fucking six or something.
Yeah,
Nikki fan. So how do you feel get up on stage when you get to play some of those mean Nikki six bass lines?
It's a little bizarre because I know the songs inside and out, and to get to play those and kind of get a little insight into what he was doing when he's writing them as I'm learning those songs, and and I don't know that there was a better decade than the '80s for a guitar solo.
Oh, sure.
Kyle gets to handle those, and he has to be very diverse to handle those.
In fact, Kyle is a guitar player. You probably have an appreciation for this. That was my complaint with a lot of those new metal bands of the '90s and stuff. You hear them brag about the fact we don't do guitar solos. I'm like, why the hell not? I mean, if you look at all the great bands we've been talking about from the '80s, what did they all have in common? A Guitar Hero, right?
Right. I think it was a lot. I think anybody would admit that it got a little overblown at the end. 1991.
I think there was a great quote from Eddie Van Halen one time. I think it was Eddie or someone said something very similar, like the music's not a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that, and I think a lot of people started getting too competitive with it, and people just kind of lost interest.
I think where that goes too far too is you get some guitar players that are real anal and they're like real technical players. Oh my God, I hit a wrong note. I got to go back and fix that. Where a lot of times it's more about the feeling, how it makes somebody feel.
Yeah. No, and I think, it got to be who could play the fastest solo or who could, write the biggest ballad. And, it stopped being about the song at that point. And there was a natural reaction. I understand that.
Yeah. And Rodger, I think doing the cover band thing too makes sense these days because the music business is so different from what it was when we were growing up. I mean, when we were growing up, a band had to have a record deal. And even if you have original music you're putting out there, you're lucky if somebody will go on YouTube and play the song all the way through.
Right.
It's
a lot easier to self-produce now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you got to have that bass, or find some way like TikTok to get your songs caught on. I know a lot of country artists are breaking out that way.
And so, Rodger, any chance when you guys hit the road in March that you'll be doing like kind of what you did with Whiskey? You'll be putting videos up there and kind of.
Oh yeah. We're planning to do a whole tour diary, a couple of days, and I've got the Glam Divas to take care of the technology for me, and we'll be sharing.
When you go on the road, Rodger, do you take more than one bass, or do you pretty much have a standard you play?
I do. I think I broke 2 bass strings in 30 years, but I'm still that guy that's got another one on stage just in case.
Yeah. And I imagine you guys are your own crew. Like you set up your gear when you get to the location and that and tear it down.
We do. It's just who we are. So, we're all pretty particular about our gear and.
And so this will be your first time, you said, Rodger, playing the Biker Fest. You guys have like a certain percentage of the fan base that are kind of into the biker scene.
Yeah, we've done some biker stuff over the years, and our music just seems to go over really well. They enjoy us. We played a couple national rallies last year. We played the biggest one here in Indiana one time last year, and and we're in negotiations to go to Sturgis in August, which would be another huge one. So it just fits. They like us, we enjoy them, and
And so, Kyle, who are some of the bands or guitar players influenced you, like when you were growing up? Who are your heroes?
Well, I was kind of all over the place. Mainly Randy Rhoads, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Joe Satriani, Michael Schenker.
There you go.
Eddie Van Halen, George Lynch. Scorpions, Judas Priest, Wasp, Kiss.
Oh, there you go. I mean, who wasn't influenced by any of those, Yeah. And Randy Rhoads is real interesting because if you're a guitar player, I mean, you almost have to be influenced by that guy, depending on how old you are, but it's interesting because while he wasn't quite right early on, the huge fan base, the legacy that guy left behind, and he's just got those 2 Ozzy albums.
Yeah.
than
the early Quiet
than
Riot
the early
stuff.
Quiet Riot records from Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard some of that, and I heard that they've released it on vinyl, and people can get it, I think, through mail order and stuff. I think you need to go on Amazon. I've seen it, so that stuff is worth checking out if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think
Rodger and Kyle, I'd like to thank you guys for taking time to talk to me out of your busy schedule. And Rodger, I welcome you guys back anytime, and let's make a plan when you guys hit the road in March to do this again. And I'd love to help you guys promote the tour any way we can.
Appreciate that, man. I appreciate Chaotic Riffs and you, and having us on again. And we look forward to doing more.
Like I said, you guys are family now, so you're welcome back here anytime. And the interview we just did, it should be posted sometime next week. Once I have a date for that, I'll be sure to let you guys know, and you're more than welcome to post it on any of your pages. We
absolutely will.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Take care, guys, and good luck with the gig tonight. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.